Artists, today we are going to use some white crayon and watercolors to create a background for one of our projects. And we're going to be doing some snowflakes on the background. Because we're going to be painting, the very first thing that you need to do is write your name and your class code on the back of your paper. We're going to flip it over so that we can add our snowflakes to the front. Now I've drawn a snowflake here in Sharpie for you to see how we're going to draw our snowflakes. And we are going to actually use white crayon for our snowflakes. So the very first thing that we do is a long vertical line. Then we do a long horizontal line. Then we're going to do a shorter diagonal line and another shorter diagonal line. That's the base of our snowflake. Now we could stop here, or we can add more details. So we could do some diagonal lines that look like arrows that point to the center. So I could add some points here. I could add some points on each of my lines, and all of my points are pointing to the center. Now I could stop there, or one final thing that I could do is I could add some circles right on the edges of all of my lines. And that's one way you can make a snowflake. So what I want you to do is I want you to fill your paper with a variety of large and small snowflakes using your white crayon. And it might be hard to see. Remember, we start with a vertical line, a horizontal line, two diagonals, and then if you want, you can add those points. And I know it's hard to see on my paper, but you'll be able to see it better on yours. And I want you to do a variety of sizes to fill your paper. Once you are done adding your white crayon snowflakes, we're going to put some liquid watercolor right on top of our snowflakes that we've drawn. Now, liquid watercolor is different than the watercolor palettes we've used before because you don't have to add any water to these liquid watercolors. They already have water added. And I have a purple and a blue, and they look very similar in our trays. So what I've done is I've taken a Sharpie and I've put purple next to your purple and blue next to your blue. So all we have to do is we just dip our brush right into that liquid watercolor and we can brush it right over top of our paper. Now artists, before we can get purple, we have to do two things. First, we want to try to get as much of that blue off on our paper as we can. Then we're going to wipe it on our sponge before we clean our brush. Once we clean our brush, then we can go back in and get some of that purple. And you can put your colors right on top of each other. You can put the purple on top of the blue, and what's going to happen is that watercolor is going to resist those snowflakes that you drew with your crayon. So if I want to go back to blue, remember I got to try to get as much of that purple off as I can. Wipe it on that sponge before I get my fresh water. Then I can get more blue to put on top. And we're going to just completely cover our background with some blues and purples to show our snowflakes. I'm going to pause and catch up. Once your watercolor is dry, we'll be able to add stuff to the background. So this is going to have to go on the drying rack so that this paper can dry for the next part of our project.